The great news is it's okay to be selfish because Carrie, your kitchen table shrink, tells you so. We all probably aren't selfish. For women mostly, we are afraid of being selfish, but we aren't actually being selfish. Um, it's the fear of being selfish that gets in the way of so much of our care for our family. It keeps us from being fully ourselves and fully in our best place in which to take care of everyone around us who we care about. So I'm going to teach you a bit more about that. Talk to you about self-care. That's what today's topic is. I want to guide you along the path to self-care, kind of like the flight attendant on an airplane who tells you to take that oxygen mask, put it on yourself before you put it on your little ones. Because if you're not there, they're down the toilet in basic strokes. So look out after yourself. That's the best you can do to be unselfish for your loved ones. Anyway, today is the first of maybe a couple parts, maybe 3 parts. I don't know how long it'll take me to get through this self-care stuff because it's big deal stuff. It's really important, and I want you to really take it in, and I want to have fun with you about it too. So, I am the kitchen table shrink. I am a licensed counselor, and this channel is about giving people ideas and suggestions to overcome interpersonal challenges, relationship challenges, just issues you might have within yourself. It's for ordinary people, and I try to do this in a fun, lighthearted, creative way. Anyway, these things can generally be immediately useful. Sometimes I even give homework. So let's get to it. So, what's happening here today? First thing, I'm going to talk about the definitions. I have a couple right here to give you what is selfish. To truly understand what selfish is. See if we are it or are not it. In the I just looked these up on dictionary.com. This isn't major shit. It means devoted to or caring only for oneself, concerned primarily with oneself's own interest, benefits, and welfare, regardless of others. Synonyms are suggested to be stingy, parsimonious, that means stingy, illiberal, don't really need that, egotistical, right? Self-seeking, self-interested. And we know an awful lot of those people. White men in power tend to be the ones I think of right off, but that's just me. The Collins English Dictionary says pretty much the same things. This is kind of like the British definition. Chiefly concerned with one's own interest, advantage, etc., especially to the total exclusion of the interests of others, relating to or characterized by self-interest. So right off the bat, we know most women, certainly women that are in families, we're always taught, and we believe it, we get it from the get-go, right from when we're down that size, that we are supposed to be there for others, think of others, I don't remember how it was for you, but the girl does not take the last cookie on the plate. The boy can, but the little girl does, right? And moms are always supposedly sacrificing. They eat the least at the dinner table. Well, if there's nobody to cook, it doesn't matter how much meat there is in the freezer. If there's no one to cook. So right now, I want you to try to wrap your head around that fundamental first principle. Knowing you're there, doing things that make you happy and things that are about taking care of you are not the opposite of being there for others. They're a piece of how you are there for others. So you can be the best mom, the best wife, the best lover, whatever, best daughter. You can be the best if you are taking care of yourself. The plant that gets the water is the one that blossoms. Be that plant. Be that mom with the oxygen. Okay, so what I want you to do instead of worrying about being selfish, which it'll take a while, I get that, but what I want you to replace that with is self-care. Self-care is taking the oxygen, watering the plant. If the plant it gets watered, that plant is able to be the best plant, blossoming, bearing fruit, doing what it does best. So I want you to do the self-care. I want you to water yourself as if you're the plant on the in the window. Okay, here we go. Here's what a working definition of self-care is. as far as who the World Health Organization is concerned, because this is a problem across the world. This isn't just us, right? So they say, I'm going to look down again here, the ability of individuals, families, and communities, we're all responsible for this, to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illness and disability with or without the support of the healthcare provider. That means we take care of ourselves, right? We make sure we're okay. And self-care is the practice, I'm going on with this definition. Self-care is the practice of individuals looking after their own health using the knowledge and information available to them. If you know about aspirin for headaches, you take an aspirin, right? Um, it is a decision-making process that empowers individuals to look after their own health and well-being efficiently and conveniently in collaboration with health and social care professionals as needed. Okay, definitions. Self-care is promoting your well-being. Selfish is only providing for yourself, only taking care of your well-being. To hell with the rest of them, my family, my kids, my mother, my aging dad, whomever, my neighbor. So let's take a look at some thoughts and some examples. Now, for me, I was recently watching, I think it was maybe an Ancestor or Roots or one of those TV shows that talks about a person's ancestors and helps them find them. And sometimes they go traveling to France or Africa or wherever they go to learn about their ancestors. This was the story that really, really uh, was almost personally hurtful. Nothing to do with me, not my family. So this person, um, they found this ancestor who I think it was a grandfather's father. So it was a few generations ago. We're talking about the late 1800s, Victorian era. And there was a working class family. Dad went off to work. Mom has 3 children. She's pregnant. He goes off to work. When he comes back for his noontime meal, he sees she's not looking good. She's looking really pale. She's definitely not well. And he says, let's go for a doctor. And she says, no, no, I don't want a doctor to come. Do not want a doctor to come. She's got a stomach ache, no big deal. So off he goes back to work. He comes back, no, late afternoon, dinner time, whenever. He comes back, and there's the wife on the floor. And she's collapsed. She's not conscious. And she has delivered the baby herself at home, and she has smothered the child. The newborn is smothered and dies. The man says, Dad manages to wake her up and says, I got to go for a doctor. She says, I'll kill you if you go for a doctor. I don't know what the threat was, but it was like, don't you dare. I'll leave you if you go for a doctor. So he doesn't go for a doctor, right? I don't remember what happens next. He goes back to work, whatever. He comes back at the end of the day, end of his shift, and she's dead. She is dead. And he went and gets the doctor and finds out that she's, just lost too much blood, this, that, and the other thing. So she's dead as a door. So what ends up happening is the 3 children get sent off to various relatives to live, not together, but separately with each of these relatives' family. And because he has to make a living, he can't take care of the kids. He's too poor to have to afford a nanny or whatever care there is. And so he's beside himself. He's allowed his wife to die from his own perspective, and he becomes a drunk. He dies in the gutter. No, actually, he doesn't die in the gutter. He finds himself in the gutter. He finds himself on the police blotter and eventually dies because he's hit by a truck because he is drunk. Now, that woman looks like she was being not selfish because she said, no, no, don't give me the doctor. I'll be fine. But she was incredibly selfish. Not to take care of herself, not to get the doctor at that time. I don't know why she didn't, but because she wouldn't allow him to get the doctor, probably because it was expensive, yes, but she'd be alive. She destroyed her family. She destroyed her beloved, who ended up drunk, dead in a ditch, less than 10 years later. And the children all were unhappy and separated, and the baby died. That was a very selfish act by not looking after herself. Do you follow me? That really, really was poignant for me. And that was the inspiration for doing this particular focus. So I'm assuming it's kind of obvious, the self-care, selfish dichotomy I'm trying to draw here. But you still may have questions. How does my taking care of myself, besides in a catastrophe of a situation like I just recited, how does taking care of myself, how does self-care benefit everybody else around me? Prove it to me, Carrie. Okay, I'll try my best. If you have things available to you to be the best you, take care of yourself, it helps you use healthcare resources better. That's a larger than just the family kind of benefit. What it says in the WHO piece, I'll read it to you, is self-care gives people greater availability of effective healthcare, the whole world, helps them manage many health conditions. If people manage their own and address basic needs without the need of valuable medical resources like the ER, the hospital, or doctor's offices, you know how they're always backed up. It takes forever to get an appointment. If we take care of ourselves before we get so we need to call the doctor, then we are freeing up all those resources for everybody else who's in more desperate straits and needs it. That's sort of the difference between the way European systems work and the American system will work. We take care of people once they're, pretty far gone. And in France and Germany, people are encouraged to be in a much more preventive frame of mind. That's how they save money. That's how their healthcare is so much less expensive than ours, is because people care themselves in lots of ways, so they don't put the drain on the national reserves. But because ours costs so much, we'll do the lot. We won't do anything. We'll do as little as possible before we have to pay out money, which we can't afford. Anyway, that, of course, means also that self-care helps to combat the rising healthcare prices all across the world. And I think it also teaches your kids, especially your daughters, who constantly, the world is minimizing our feelings and our importance. Um, and I could give examples, but I don't think there's a good place to go right now. But just in general, girls are taught to be worried about everybody else, not them. We're told that we don't matter as much as the people we're supposed to help take care of, even when we're 5, even when we're 3. But if you do self-care, it teaches your kids that they're important. It helps build their self-esteem. And that alone will help their health be better, because people with low self-esteem, people with mental health issues, live a much shorter lifespan. It just is. It's a statistical fact. So if you help teach them, you model it. You model taking care of yourself, and they realize, oh, they should be taking care of themselves as they grow. Oh, yes, be sure we do it with clipping your toenails, right? We do it with washing your hair, taking a shower. We should do it with more important, bigger things. We should do it in all kinds of aspects of our lives, like with the oxygen on the kid. I'm going to go back to that analogy because that's a really, really good visual image for most people. Basically, we want to teach our kids, you matter too. And by doing that, especially girls, by saying, I matter. See how I take care of me. My biggest peeve, and I alluded to it before, is bike helmets. Parents don't wear bike helmets, right? But they make their kids wear them. Well, the message there is that you're expendable. Doesn't tell much. And that to be the grown up is to not take care of yourself, is to throw that helmet off. My kids want to do it. It was the days of Lance Armstrong, and before his doping thing became clear. And their father was one of them. He said, Lance Armstrong never gets on his bike without them. My kids always wear helmets. We always did too. The other piece, of course, is that child in the back wearing a helmet and you not wearing it, the most important possession that child has is mom. So why would you be so cavalier with his most or her most important possession? Why would you be willing to, like my mom in my example, let your kid grow up motherless? Why would you even allow that to be a possibility if you could avoid it? That's what I ask. Self-care is imperative. Okay, I'm getting serious now. Let's go back to the funny, Carrie. We know it's important. And so, what is self-care? How do we do it? Well, I want to tell you about this wonderful, wonderful website, this lovely young woman who has, very serious mental health concerns, and she's very, very proactive in her own mental health um, recovery. She's doing a great job, from what I can see. She has this wonderful website and some wonderful products, but she's got lots of freebies as well. It's called selfloverainbow.com. And the link will be below. I've put it down below in everything I've done because she's great. Um, and she gives some somatic examples of how to take care of yourself in little everyday, ordinary ways. And I find these terrific. One of them is what she calls the hand on heart practice. Just take slow, deep breaths when you're getting stressed or as a way to start your day. She says, do this for just 2 minutes. 2 minutes? 2 minutes a day? You're worth it. Your little one thinks so. And then there's the thing she calls the humming technique. And what it does is it activates the vagus nerve. I'm not going to biology, but it's humming or singing. Um, I used to, when I vacuumed, I always had something on the radio I'd sing to. My favorite was Bruce Springsteen, got the floor clean really well. Um, and sometimes when you're just doing the dishes, you can do that, like me with my vacuuming. And the third, little quick and easy, is the shake it out move. In fact, it's true. It's another scientific little goodie I picked up somewhere, is that when animals are stressed, they shake it out. I often wonder, is that what was going on with the Shakers, the religious people in the 1800s? I don't know, but I do know that you remember those wildlife shows where the lion's running after the gazelle, and the gazelle is doomed because the lion's, but somehow it miraculously the gazelle survives and finds a safe place, has outrun because they're damn fast, outrun the damn lion, and found a safe space. And they curl up in a ball, I think it is. I don't know. They curl up and they shake. And you'll see that on the wildlife programs. That's a way they de-stress. So you can move too. Now, maybe you don't want to shake, but maybe, swing your arms, that standy swinging your arms thing. That's a good way to do it. Maybe just doing, some wake up, all your fingerly bits, your tingles, your toes, your knees, walk around the room, walk out into the garden, take the dog for a walk, whatever it is, but move. Movement is a great mental health cure-all, by the way. Well, don't cure anything, but it really helps move the distress, the circular ruminating thoughts that people with mental illness or disorder people have that stressing them out. By moving, it kind of moves them out your pores and out your fingers and out your feet and out your toes. And I don't know, probably out your head. So movement is easy. These are three quick and easy things to do. You can do right now. You could talk, if I stop talking now, which wouldn't necessarily be awful, you could go and do those things, and that would be self-care. This self-care stuff is really tough. This is not a big honking deal. It's just paying attention enough to what you need to do something. Take some breaths, hum or sing so that you can kind of chill, or maybe just shake out things. I wonder why. We were little, we used to do put your right foot in, you put your left foot in, da 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 da, and do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. That's what I mean. I don't know if that's why they did it, but they did that before recess in my school when I was really really young. Maybe that was a way to chill us down. I don't know, get us back to our seats. I mean, after recess. I mean, okay. So there we go. We've got our what is selfish, what is um the fear of being selfish, what is self-care, and how is it not selfish? Those are four big things to start out with. I think that's a good place to stop. Next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on with some more information about self-care. But I really first direct you to that link down below to Self-Love Rainbow. On her front page is what's it, a self-care guidebook. And she tells her own story, and then she tells you how to do self-care yourself. And she has many other products on her website, and there's a link down there to, I think it's the people pleasing book, which I think is really, really important because we awful lot of us are very actively trying to please everybody but ourselves. Part of the same um, syndrome of fearing our selfishness. If this has been at all helpful, do the like and subscribe buttons, and please comment. I love feedback. Let me give a quick and dirty review of what we did. We talked about what the definition of selfish is and how most of us probably aren't, and why the fear of being selfish is around, why we experience it, why we pause to say, oh, is this selfish? I gave the example of the mom who destroyed her own family with her attempt to be selfless and not get the doctor in. She died, the whole family fell apart. Also, we talked about the antidote, which is self-care. Defined it, it gave you a few things, quick and dirty, quick and easy things, little self-care things to do. The moving, the humming, what was that first one? Because that was really good. I liked that first one. And look below for the links I send along, especially look for the one on selfloverainbow.com, or my link, my link to is promotional to one of those affiliates. Or just go and get her freebie, the self-care workbook or guidebook. That is a gem. That is an absolute wonderful free gem. She's brilliant. And take care of yourselves until the next time I see you. As I said, I'm doing at least one more of these, maybe two, depending on how much material I find myself getting into. And I will see you next time. Can't wait.